you have a good rest, a nice prasadam, and you took darshan, and you went on Harinam, and you're taking full advantage of your pilgrimage in the Holy Dham. Everything is based on getting mercy. Everywhere we go, the only thing we're asking for is mercy. If Krishna blesses us, Vaishnavas bless us. Even sometimes people say in other religions, God bless you, right? I say, thank you. I'll take all the mercy and blessing that I can get. We should be like a greedy, because we realize we don't have so much qualification. We don't have so much experience, spiritual life. And whatever religious experience we had, going to the church, temple, mosque, it was all very limited. It was incomplete. A lot of it was very faulty. So even we have some sincerity, but then we're hearing maybe not the best thing, or right thing, or complete thing. And so helping us, because we already have so much misconception, even though they're using pronouns, he, the Father, he has a plan, giving strength and intelligence, guidance. All of these descriptions are of a person, personality, supreme personality. That is who is God. But all the religions know who is God. They say, oh, he's energy, he has some power, some light, he must have some love, some compassion. So they're giving some description about God, but it's partial, it's incomplete, and it may also be impersonalistic, which is also not helpful to really understand about Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prabhupada explained, Srila Prabhupada explained, the real purpose of religion is to know who and what is God, who actually is that Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then who are we, and that every living entity is eternal servant of God. So that is the position of every soul. Every soul is the eternal servant of God. We're not Christian, we're not Muslim, we're not Jewish, we're not any one of these religions, because that makes some kind of a distinction, differences between the people. And you see that everybody fighting over their religion. All the greatest wars in the world seem to be about the religion. And so they're making this type of political and this type of, what are the differences amongst all living entities based on externals of tradition and religion that your family was born into. But really, Krishna consciousness, it means that every soul is eternal servant of Krishna, of God. And it says it in this age, especially by chanting the holy names of God. Even Jesus in Christian prayer says, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So they're talking about glorifying the names of God. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada would speak to different priests and different religions. And he would just say, just really the simplest way in this age, because no one's really so qualified, is just chant the names of God. Just heartily, from the cry of the soul, just pray to God, chant the names of God. And Srila Prabhupada said, what is the name of God that you know? Then just chant that names of God. So he's not trying to turn you into this religion or that religion. If you realize you're eternal servant of God, you have faith in God, you chant the names of God, you realize that we are servant of God. This is most important point. And then Krishna says, as you surrender unto me, as you render loving devotional service to me, then I'll purify you, and all of these different types of contamination, pollution, misconception, misunderstanding, or partial understanding. Krishna says, as you surrender, I'll reveal myself to you. So especially this mood that we accept that we're all eternal servants of God. We may have different conception of what is God, but that He is Supreme Lord, and everyone else, all of us, are all servants of God. So if we accept that humble position and we try to subordinate or cooperate as servant of God, then that mood and that devotional spirit of surrender and service, that will gradually get us merciful purification, which will purify all of this different type of ignorance and misunderstanding that we may have. And Krishna says, as you surrender unto me, then I'll reveal myself to you. So if one is sincere and serious, wants to surrender and serve Krishna, serve God, then in due course of time, by His special mercy, then He'll purify all of our misconceptions, all of our ignorance or misunderstanding. And He'll give us also spiritual intelligence. Krishna says, I'll give you intelligence and faith, how you can come to me. So again, it's a question of sincerity and seriousness to want to serve God, to surrender to God. And then he says, I'll give you intelligence and faith, how you can come to me, how you can know me. So sometimes, when you're talking about other religions and other cultures, and sometimes it's a little bit attached to your family tradition, your religion, because that's all you really know. But really, we came here to try to really understand who and what is God. And when we're asking in other religions, nobody has a good answer. Nobody has a satisfactory answer. And so we keep trying to understand what is God, so that we came to Krishna consciousness. And then Krishna, God Himself, will establish Himself. So when we get Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, as it is, then Krishna Himself is establishing Himself as Supreme Personality of God. When Prabhupada was preaching to all of the scholars, all the PhD scholars in California, and Prabhupada gathered, there was like 20 of them, and Prabhupada is talking to all these PhD scholars. They have PhD in religion, doctorate of religion. And Srila Prabhupada is asking all the scholars that you all have doctorate of religion. You're presenting yourself as very knowledgeable about religion, about God. So then I'm asking you, then who is God? And then they're all like kind of stunned. And he said, yes, you're acting like you have PhD, you're a doctor, expert in religion. Then you must know, then who is God? And of course, none of them can really say. They can say, oh, God has some energy, or He has some love and affection, He has some power. Yes, okay. Those are all different qualities and different power of God. But who is God? And of course, none of them can really say. And Prabhupada said, why are you posing like you're expert in religion? Religion means you're supposed to know who is God. And then you don't know who is God. And then Srila Prabhupada said, then I'm telling you that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that's just the fact. And then you're also not accepting that. So I'm telling you, Krishna Himself has established Himself as Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm telling you that this is a fact. And then you're not accepting it. And neither you know who is God. You see? So Prabhupada exposing the so-called scholarly approach to religion. And of course, they were from all different types of religious backgrounds. But yet, what is the point of your religious background if you really don't understand who is God? So I was thinking when I was listening to you all chanting, that it's so nice, everyone chanting holy name of Krishna. We're coming from atheistic background, we're coming from other religion background, no religion, Buddhist background, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, all kinds of different religious backgrounds. But yet everybody chanting Hare Krishna. So it's quite amazing that first we heard from Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, and of course he chanting Hare Krishna, the purifying consciousness, giving Krishna Prasadam, Jagannath Prasadam. And then he's presenting Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu Bible, which is Krishna himself establishing how and why he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's no other book, there's no other Bible, there's no other so-called religious practice which really establishes who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead except the Vedic culture. And Krishna said, by all the Vedas, by that Vedic knowledge, I am to be known. I am the compiler of the Vedanta. So the whole point of the process of purification, of practicing religion, is ultimately to come to understand that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so by Krishna establishing himself through his books, through his pure devotees, then by hearing, getting faith from Krishna, Krishna's pure devotee, with that faith, then we're chanting Hare Krishna. We're chanting Krishna's name. So if we don't have faith in Krishna, we're not accepting him as Supreme Personality of Godhead, then our chanting the names of Krishna, it doesn't really have any, not effect, because it will still have some effect, but better to chant in knowledge with faith. It will be more potent, more effective. Otherwise, we're chanting theoretically. I remember in the beginning saying, well, I think you're God, Krishna. You establish yourself as Supreme Personality of Godhead. But I remember in the beginning, I was reading the Bible, the Old Testament, New Testament. And every time I read the Bible, I never really understood very well, especially Old Testament. I tried many times, start at the beginning and start reading, and somewhere along the line I would just, it was very confusing. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus and New Testament's a little more simple because Jesus was preaching to the fishermen. See, because they're very simple people, then Jesus' preaching is also very simplistic. 10 commandments. Try not to kill anybody today. Try not to steal anybody's wife today. Right? These are like really basic, like how to be even, a human being. This can't be, the most subtle, how do you say, advanced type of emphasis. It's basic. But even still, I couldn't really understand Christian Bible. And of course, it's been translated wrongly for thousands of years. And there's thousands of translations translated wrongly for thousands of years. So it has become very confusing. But when I read Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna established himself as God, as Supreme Personality of Godhead, then somehow it changed my consciousness and my faith, my understanding. And I said, I'm going to go back and read the Bible. And surprisingly, when I went to try to then go read the Christian Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, everything became more clear. So when people would chastise me, like, what about your religion? What about Jesus? And I said, when I was Christian, I couldn't really understand what is what, really. I couldn't practice anything that Jesus was preaching. So I wasn't really a very good Christian, just in name only. And when I came to Krishna consciousness and I read Bhagavad Gita, then I actually became a better Christian, because then I could understand more about the Christian Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. I could understand more about, I put more faith in the instructions from Jesus. So I would say to them, if this makes me a better Christian and makes me stronger in my faith and my understanding about religion and the purpose of religion and cultivation of devotion and service to God, and we have a clarification about who is God, then what's the problem? So then you understand it's just based on tradition and some kind of fanatical kind of religious fervor. And so this fanaticism, there's still a lot of emotional ignorance that is there. And so it's still on bodily platform. The body, you're making distinction, this religion, this country, that country. Right? But on soul platform, every soul is eternal servant of God. On that platform, everyone is equal in the eyes of God. He's not looking at what religion are you. He's looking at God. So these conceptions are very speculative and very limited and very partial. It's not complete. Therefore, it requires further information, further realization. Does anyone have any points on any of that? So far? We're good? Does it make sense?
Yes.
So we can read from Bhagavad Gita. Let Krishna establish himself as Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the supreme authority. And so he's very perfectly capable of convincing us. Even at the end, I was reading, Krishna was preaching to Arjuna after he explained everything. He said, now you decide. With whatever little minute independence you have, after explaining everything to you, then you decide whether you're going to follow that or you're not going to follow that. That's up to you. It cannot be forced on any living entity. I have a couple of verses. I'm not sure which one I'm supposed to read. All right, let's read this one. This is from Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter. This is the conclusion. It's called the perfection of renunciation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So 1855, please repeat. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaha cha asmi tatpataha tata mam tatpataha gyatva vishate tat Anantaram. Bhatyamam avajanati
Bhatyamam abhijanati
Yavanyascha smitatvata
Yavanyascha smitatvata
Tato mam tattvato gyatva
Mam tattvato gyatva
Vishate tad anantaram
Vishate tadanantaram
Bhatyamam avajanati
Bhatyamam abhijanati
Yavanyascha smitatvata
Yavanyascha smitatvata
Om tattvato gyatva
Tato mam tattvato gyatva
Vishate tad anantaram
tadanantaram
Anyone want to try?
Bhatyamam abhijanati Yavanyascha smitatvata Tato mam tattvato gyatva Vishate tadanantaram Bhatyamam abhijanati Yavanyascha smitatvata Tato
Om tattvato gyatva
mam tattvato gyatva Vishate tadanantaram Bhatyamam abhijanati Yavanyascha smitatvata Tato mam tattvato gyatva Vishate tadanantaram Bhatyamam abhijanati Yavanyascha smitatvata Tato mam tattvato gyatva Vishate tadanantaram
Bhaktya,
Bhaktya
by pure devotional service.
by pure devotional service
Me, Avijanati,
Abhijanati
one can know
one can know
Yavan
Yavan
as much as Yacha Asmi
Yascha Asmi
as I am,
as I am
Tatvata,
Tatvata
in truth, Tata,
Tata
thereafter, Mam, me, Tatvata,
Tatvata
in truth, Yatva, knowing, Vishate, he enters, Tat Anantaram, thereafter. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, and he explains that one can actually know and understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by pure devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can then enter into the kingdom of God. Please repeat. One can actually know and understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by pure devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can then enter into the kingdom of God. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his plenary portions cannot be understood by mental speculation, nor by the non-devotees or asatsanga. If anyone actually wants to know and understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to take to pure devotional service under the guidance of a pure devotee of Krishna. Otherwise, the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will always be and remain hidden. As already stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7:25, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, that Krishna is not revealed to everyone. No one can understand God simply by their erudite scholarship or the power of their mental speculation. Only one who is actually Krishna conscious and seriously engaged in pure devotional service under the guidance of the bona fide representative of Krishna, only they can actually know me and truly understand what and who Krishna is. Mundane university degrees are not helpful in this regard. One who is fully conversant with the Krishna science becomes eligible to enter into the spiritual kingdom, the abode of Sri Krishna. Becoming Brahman does not mean that one loses his identity. Devotional service is there, and as long as devotional service exists, then there must be God, there must be the devotee, and there must be this process of devotional service or bhakti. Such realized knowledge, it is never vanquished or destroyed, even after liberation. Liberation involves getting free from the concept of the material life. In spiritual life, the same distinction is there. The same individuality is there. But in pure Krishna consciousness, one should not mistakenly think that the word Vishite enters into me, supports the monist theory, that one becomes homogeneous with the impersonal Brahman. No, Vishite means that one can enter into the abode of the Supreme Lord in one's individuality to engage in his association and render service unto him. For instance, a green bird enters a green tree, not to become one with the tree, but to enjoy the fruits of the tree. So impersonalists, generally, they give this example of a river flowing into the ocean and then merging. This may be a source of happiness for the impersonalist, but the personalist keeps his personal individuality like an aquatic in the ocean. So we find so many living entities within the ocean if we go deep. Surface acquaintance with the ocean itself is not sufficient. One must have complete knowledge of the aquatics living in the ocean depths. Prabhupada says that because of his pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and the opulences of the Supreme Lord in truth, in tattva. As it is stated in the 11th chapter, that only by pure devotional service can one really understand. The same is being confirmed here, that one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, only by rendering pure, loving devotional service and thus entering into his kingdom. After attainment of the Brahma-bhuta stage, Srimad Bhagavatam 4:30-20 states that the stage of freedom from material conceptions. So first, when you come to Brahma-bhuta, means that you're free from material conceptions. But pure devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti, it begins by one's hearing about the Lord. Many times Prabhupada talks about the positive side. It's not this and it's not that. It's not material. Well, then what is it? Then now you come to the personal side, and now your devotional service begins with hearing and chanting about the Lord. When one properly hears from and about the Supreme Lord, automatically the Brahma Buddha stage develops a material contamination, greediness, and lust for sense enjoyment gradually disappears. As the lust and desires, material desires, disappear from the heart of a devotee, it becomes more and more attached to the loving service of the Lord. And by such attachment, it becomes free from material contamination. In that stage of life, you can actually understand the Supreme Lord. This is the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam also, that after liberation, the process of bhakti or transcendental service continues. The Vedanta Sutra 4.1.12 confirms this. Prayanat na tatrapihi disham. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own real identity, his own constitutional position. And that constitutional position is already explained, that every living entity is an eternal part and parcel, fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord, and therefore his constitutional position is to cooperate and to serve. After liberation, the service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from all material conceptions of life, and then in such pure consciousness, engaging oneself in the transcendental loving service to Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshramalitam Jana Tasma Shri. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. One can actually understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by pure devotional service or Shuddha Bhakti. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can then enter into the kingdom of God. So, Krishna, there's many verses where Krishna is talking about how he's only interested in pure loving devotional service and really nothing else. He already has every other thing, and every living entity is meant to render this pure loving devotional service to him. Krishna says, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. So the process of purification, karma, jnana, yoga, is a gradual process of purification through the different stages and different instructions within the Vedas. Ultimately, it's meant to bring us to this process of devotional service or bhakti. What is it? Parama Purushakta. So Dhamma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, and then Bhakti. Of course, Prabhupada says in Kali Yuga, people really not interested in real Dharma. They're not also interested in moksha. They're not trying to give up material life. And neither they're interested in pure bhakti or prem bhakti. So really, the possible goals that everybody has in material life, they fit within one real category or two, right? Economic development, to get the money in order to enjoy sense gratification. Now, sense gratification can be gross, just gross sense gratification, or it can also be subtle. When you're enjoying more on a subtle platform like artistry or musicality or poetry or philosophy, right? This is more of like an intellectual, emotional, mental type of enjoyment. So that's more of a subtle enjoyment, but it's still materialistic. So people get money, they want money in order to enjoy all of these different passions, all of these different types of way that they can enjoy. Some are just more gross than others, but basically it's the same, that you need finance, you need money to be able to enjoy either grossly or subtly. And mostly everybody is just engaged in those activities. They're not so much interested in Dharma and doing the Dharma, trying to do Daivi Vanashram, Sanatan Dharma. Neither they're interested to renounce all of this gross and subtle material enjoyment and want to just come to moksha or liberated platform. And what to speak of beyond that platform of rendering pure loving devotional service to God. So this is very, very narrow, very selfish type of I, me, and mine mentality. Selfishness, extended selfishness for this gross and subtle material sense gratification. But we've been discussing here recently that Prabhupada saying that when the materialism starts to pierce your heart and you start to not be able to really enjoy grossly or subtly and material life after life, eventually we start to understand that a little bit of sense pleasure gives a lot of bitter pain and suffering, heavy price. And so gradually one starts to become frustrated materially, starts to become exhausted. To live in the material world, it's exhausting, it's frustrating, it's disappointing. And then ultimately people become just disgusted with materialism because they realize it's not making them happy. So many famous people throughout history, they have so much materialism, and then they just feel like this is like all that life is about. It seems so shallow and so selfish, and then everyone becomes so envious and so jealous, and so it's very, the friends, family, everyone around them, they're just using them. They don't feel like they really, it's out of love and affection. It's more just they want something. And so they become disillusioned also. And so a lot of them want to just, some of them commit suicide. Some of them lose themselves into drug addiction, just to try to detach themselves from the conscious reality of their life. And sometimes they may want to just renounce everything. But that's also very rare because the material attachment is so strong. But here it's saying that it's not just enough to say, okay, I don't want materialism. I don't want this. I don't want that. I got to reject this, reject that, reject this person, reject that person. It's not just about rejection of everything. There's on the positive side, we need a positive activity, positive attachment, positive engagement for our intelligence, mind, and senses, and that is bhakti. That's a positive, spiritual, devotional engagement, intelligence, mind, and senses in devotional service to the Lord, to Krishna. Krishna is saying that only by the sincere, serious execution of surrendered, cooperative, devotional service will I be pleased. And if Krishna is pleased with us, then he says, I'll show special mercy to you and I'll purify all the sinful reactions. So the sinful reactions, that is making us forget about God. That's covering our consciousness. It says the sinful reactions is causing so much ignorance And the ignorance is the root cause of our suffering condition. So when he sees the soul is looking for him, trying to understand about him, want to try to come and surrender and serve him, and mood of devotion, Prabhupada said, at least if you're not envious of that position, that some people say, I'd rather die than surrender to God. Right? So these people, they die and they don't surrender to God. But if we're a little pious, we're not envious that God is great and that we are subservient or that we are servant of God, Prabhupada said this is a good start. So as we come with this mood of devotion and service, even in material life, many times people, they come to the wrong conclusion that you have to just serve humanity, right? What does it mean to be a human, right? So they come to understand you have to give back, you have to give to society, you have to give to the humanity, you have to serve humanity. So that they're understanding that there's something more beyond just this kind of selfish, everything I, me, mine. But even that conception that is also loaded with, look how pious I am, look how advanced I am, I'm giving back to the humanity, to the society. So even that they're trying to enjoy being seen as, different and advanced and intellectual and not selfish and, still they're running after name and fame. They want to be respected and appreciated, and it's just a different subtle form of sense gratification. But this type of service is, Prabhupada explained that if you water the root of the tree, then automatically the branches, the twigs, leaves, fruits, flowers, everything is automatically nourished. So by watering the root of the tree, by surrendering and serving God, then automatically everyone else will be satisfied. All the demigods, all the forefathers, humanity, non-envious people. Of course, envious people you can never satisfy. But if we serve Krishna and we please Krishna, then automatically, because he's the reservoir of all pleasure, he's within the heart of every living entity. If he's pleased, then somehow those other living entities will be pleased with you. And if we don't surrender to Krishna, then we're obliged, we're forced to try to please everybody else. Forefathers, demigods, our family, our community, our nation. And then everybody is calling that Dharma, and then they're just trying to satisfy, the normal, ordinary population. But that service is ultimately not a constitutional position as servant to God. Some people, they say, well, I'm serving my children, they're connected, related to God, so that's service to God. So they make this type of misconception. Everyone's part and parcel of God, therefore my kid is also part and parcel of God, so he's also God. So if I serve him, that means I'm serving God. So this is like pious cheating. Right? Other religions, they may not be calling their child Gopal or Krishna. That's my Krishna. That's my Gopal. I always laugh, in India, I see sometimes the boys, he's Gopal, he's Krishna, he's my God, right? And then the kid gets to school, and then everyone else is thinking that they're Gopal and they're Krishna. So it must be very interesting, like the first day of school, when they all come together and everyone's dressed up like Gopal and Krishna, and they're all fighting already. Who's actually God? Who's actually Gopal, Krishna? So this pure devotional service is really what Krishna is interested in. And it's ultimately what we're made for, what we're designed for as a spirit soul. is to act on this platform of in constitutional position as a servant for Krishna. So there's some nice verses where it's explaining how Krishna is only interested in pure devotional service, or Shuddha Bhakti, Prem Bhakti. It's the only thing that attracts him. Where is that? I didn't plan on speaking about that, so. Yeah. So here's some nice quotes from Srila Prabhupada's books and teachings, instructions. And this is talking about how pure, unalloyed devotional service, or Shuddha Bhakti, how this is the only thing that Krishna is interested in from us. If we can understand that and develop a desire, well, how do I get that? How do I become that? How do I practice that? Because ultimately the point of religion is how do you give satisfaction? How do you please and serve and give satisfaction to God? So if we know up front exactly He's telling what He's interested in from us, and what is the the quality and the behavior that He will consider to be most attractive and satisfying to Him, then at the very least we should try to desire to have that, to become that, to attain that, if we say that we want to really please and satisfy and serve God. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1775 translation, it explains that by following paths of speculative philosophical knowledge, fruitive activity, or mystic yoga, to control your senses, one cannot satisfy Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So by doing this karma and jnana, yoga, all these other practices of so-called religion, it says this cannot really satisfy the Supreme Lord. This does not satisfy Krishna. Only unalloyed devotional service or Shuddha Bhakti for Krishna is the only cause for the Lord's satisfaction. So the perfection of religion is how do we give satisfaction and service, devotion to God. So he's explaining that it's only pure, unalloyed devotional service. It means no selfish desire. If you do karma yoga or jnana or mystic yoga, there's some kind of gross or subtle desire. So you're doing some so-called spiritual path, some type of so-called spirituality, but it's a kind of a dharma because it still has some gross or subtle selfishness or separate and individual materialistic desire. So when we can give up the gross and subtle desires and seeking to do these other so-called practices of religion, kind of a dharma, then we can do this unalloyed devotional service. So only that unalloyed devotional service or Shuddha Bhakti for Krishna, that is the only cause for the Lord's satisfaction. Krishna himself says in Srimad Bhagavatam, when he was speaking to Uddhava, 11th canto, 11, 14, 20, Krishna says to Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, neither through this Ashtanga Yoga, that mystic yoga system, how to control your senses, not through impersonal monism or through some analytical study of the absolute truth, not through the study of the Vedas, not through austerities and charity or acceptance of sannyas. None of that can satisfy me as much as by your developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. So this is the only thing that really pleases and satisfies Krishna, because it's based on love. It's no selfish type of independent desire. If someone is motivated and showing some love and affection for you, it's nice, but it's motivated. It's not pure. It's not innocent. There's strings attached to it. It's conditional. So they're not doing it purely to please you and to satisfy. They want something out of you, grossly or subtly. So it's motivated. Krishna says to Uddhava, only unalloyed devotional service, the Shuddha Bhakti, rendered to me by my dear devotees, only that brings me under their control. So Krishna is Supreme Controller, and the Supreme Controller is saying that I can be controlled. I agree to be controlled only by this pure, loving, devotional service of my devotee. Otherwise, nobody can control me. I cannot be controlled by this mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, doing pious activity, studying the Vedas, performing austerities, doing renunciation, or all these so-called rituals of religion. That does not control me. So what is the point of doing all of that if it doesn't attract Krishna, it doesn't control Krishna in the sense of that it's so pleasing and satisfying to him? That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, just give up all these other types of practices, karma, jnana, yoga. Just surrender to me. Just learn how to render pure, loving, devotional service to me. That will be best for you, and that will be pleasing to me. Krishna says also in Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 14, 21, that only by practicing unalloyed devotional service with full faith in me can one obtain me. So if we don't have full faith in Krishna, then how we're going to have full faith in this practice of pure unalloyed devotional service to Krishna? If we're questioning his position, we don't have unflinching faith that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, then how we can do the type of quality and quantity of service that will be satisfactory to Krishna? Prahlad Maharaj was speaking to his friends in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th Canto. Deva, you with me? 7, 51, 52. All right? Prahlad says, my dear friends, O sons of the demons, you cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead by your becoming perfect brahmanas, by your becoming demigods or great saints, or by becoming perfectly good in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord. Not by your charity, not by austerity, not by sacrifice, or cleanliness, or vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if one has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to Him. Without sincere devotional service for that purpose, everything else is simply a show. So-called bias, so-called religion. So we're doing all of those things, but it's not for the sole purpose of pleasing Krishna and trying to satisfy Him in this loving devotional mood. Then all of that activities is just simply a show. It's a waste of time, ultimately. And otherwise, everyone takes all of those things so serious. Right? I'm doing my dharma. I'm doing rules and regulations. I'm doing sadhana. I'm doing this and that, sacrifice, charity, studying the Vedas, taking vows, fasting on Ekadasi, right? Doing all of this thing. But if it's not in a mood of loving devotion to try to please Krishna, then it's just a show we're doing for some other gross or subtle selfish desire. Prahlad Maharaj 799, Srimad Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj continued, one may possess a lot of wealth. You may come from an aristocratic family. You may have beauty. You may do austerities. You may be educated. You may be very expert in your sensory perception, your luster, your influence, your strength, your physical strength, your power, your diligence, your intellect, your mystic, yogic power. But Prahlad says, but I think that even by all of these qualifications, one cannot satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can satisfy the Lord simply and only by unalloyed devotional service for Shuddha Bhakti. You like these?
Yes.
So if whatever we're doing is not for that, then what are we really calling religion? That means we still have some selfish desire, some attachment. So you might be pious because you're going to God, but we're not going to serve in loving devotion. We're going because we want something. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam 4.9.28, Sri Vidura inquired, my dear Brahmana, the abode of the Lord is very difficult to attain. It can be attained only by pure devotional service. This verse we read tonight, Krishna says that only by devotional service can you understand me, can you get me, and can you go back home, back to Godhead. Only by that pure devotional service, which alone pleases the most affectionate, merciful Lord. Krishna says in Gita, Bhagavad Gita 10:10, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give them the understanding by which they can come to me. Krishna Bhagavad Gita 9:11 purport, only by pure devotional service is the supreme truth Krishna pleased, and by his inconceivable energy he can reveal himself in the heart of his pure devotee. The pure devotee always has Krishna within his heart, and with the presence of Krishna, who is just like the sun, the darkness of ignorance is at once dissipated. And this is the special mercy that is rendered to the pure devotee of Krishna. This was also mentioned in this verse tonight. Because of pure devotional service, a devotee can understand the transcendental qualities and the opulences of the Supreme Lord in Tattva. Only by this pure devotional service can one really understand. The same is confirmed here, that one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by rendering pure devotional service and thus enter into his kingdom. So this is the goal and the perfection of religion. If this is not our goal, our desire, ultimate desire is how to please Krishna and get Krishna, go back to Krishna, then what are we doing that's considered attractive to Krishna and satisfying to Krishna? How much are we advancing? It says we're just posing, just pretending. It's just for some show. We want to feel ourselves very pious, nice person, godly, saintly. But without pleasing Krishna. And of course, he's the witness and the judge of the quality and the quantity of our mentality and our devotional service. But if we're not fixed up ourselves and convinced ourselves that this is our goal, then did we even really start spiritual life? If we're not that serious about trying to understand how to qualify ourselves to do this quality of surrendered devotional service. Pay attention. Then what is the point of our religiosity? If this is what is the only thing that Krishna is interested in, the only thing that attracts him and pleases him, satisfies him, ultimately controls him, of course our goal should not be to control Krishna. But he's just saying that by that love and devotion of his devotee, that even he becomes controlled by that love and affection. So at the very least, we should say, okay, this is the goal. This is the perfection of religion, is to satisfy Krishna, to go back home, back to Krishna, and not have to come back to the material world to pursue these selfish, gross, and subtle material desires again and again. If that's not the focal point of our practice, then what are we doing? If we're not convinced that that's our ultimate desire, then how are we possibly going to do the quality of service, devotional service, that will be more than just a show, that Krishna will accept as sincere desire? So Prabhupada first says, you first come to Brahma Bhuta, first get cleansed, purified, all these gross, subtle material desires and attachment. First come to liberated state. Liberated means not material, but it doesn't mean that we're doing anything really spiritually. So it's a stepping stone to get purified from the strength of these material desires, these selfish desires, freedom from these materialistic conceptions and desires. That's where we start this pure devotional service. Pure devotional service begins at that stage of Brahma-bhuta, the liberated stage of freedom from all material conceptions, material desires, material attachments. Now we need to cultivate the spiritual desire and spiritual attachment in pure devotional service to the Lord. If one goes on hearing and chanting, hearing from Krishna, about Krishna, Krishna's devotees, and these topics related, Harikatha, Krishna-katha, Krishna Nam, then gradually that hearing will gradually purify material contaminated consciousness. And as we go on the cleansing process, Cetodapanamarjanam, we go on hearing and chanting, then automatically, gradually, Prabhupada says here, you come to Brahma-bhuta stage of development, liberated stage, means after anattanivritti. After, when you get the freedom from all this material conceptions, material desires, material attachment, when all of this greediness, lust, for sense enjoyment, when all of that disappears, as the lust, as the desires, material attachment, when this disappears from the heart of the devotee, then one becomes more and more attached to this idea of loving devotional service to the Lord. So he's coming in the form of his devotees. They're speaking Harikatha, Krishna-katha. They're trying to purify us and attract us to their speaking about Krishna and this pure devotional service to Krishna. As we become more convinced, more attracted, more attached in cultivating that spiritual desire, by that association, that interest that comes in that association, then gradually all of these other thoughts, all these other desires, all of these other material attachments, gradually, it becomes weakened, weaker, then you can kick it. Prabhupada talks about transferring your attachment to the spiritual. The spiritual means we understand our spiritual master, and he's speaking about Krishna from Guru Sadhu Shastra. So if we become attached to that association and attached to and attracted to hearing in that association, then that attraction and attachment to those conversations in that association, that will move us more in spiritual direction and away from all of this other type of asatsanga and materialistic association and just gramya katha, all of this materialistic topics conversation. As we stay fixed in attraction, attachment to hearing about Krishna and the association of his dear devotees, then by that Shravanam process, one is able to get purified of all of this ignorance and all of this unwanted thoughts, desires, misconception, all of this thing can be cleared. As it's becoming purified and clear, then more and more, like the clouds becoming less and less, then more and more the sun you can perceive it. So as we're getting more and more purified, attracted, attached to satsanga, sadhu sangha, attached to hearing and chanting about Krishna, then gradually one can begin to understand more and more about the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada says the process of Krishna consciousness, process of purification. As our consciousness becomes more pure, then we're able to understand and see. We talked about last other night about hearing, purified consciousness. Then you can see, then you can understand more and more. Krishna says, as you learn to surrender unto me in this mood of loving devotion, then I'll reveal myself to you. So it's a gradual process of purification and revelation, but we also should not think that that's the goal. That's just the means to get to the end goal. And the end goal is prema, is to know and get Krishna and render pure loving devotional service to Krishna. We should not just be satisfied being part of the purification process. We're getting purified for what? So we have to stay focused on what's the goal here. That's why these verses are so nice, because it really clearly says this is the only thing Krishna's waiting for. Krishna says, when you render your loving devotional service to me with this mood of bhakti, then you offer me a leaf, a fruit, a flower, water, whatever you offer me. In that mood of pure love, I'll accept it. So this bhakti, and not mixed bhakti, not purification bhakti, that's not the goal. That's just we're along the path of purification. It says here that the real, after liberation, there's a process of devotional service. So when we talk about the process, that's the means of purification, of gradually getting free and purified of all of this different type of gross and subtle material contamination. But the perfection of devotional service is when one is finally actually situated. Prabhupada says here in Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own real identity, in his own constitutional position. So that's not theoretical. That means that the real devotional liberation is not the process, not the theoretical process. It's defined as the actual reinstatement of the living entity in pure consciousness, in his own real identity, Swarup, right? Shakti, in his own constitutional position. So that after this liberation, the service begins, pure devotional service begins. Actual liberation is getting freed from all misconceptions of life and coming to pure consciousness. So just saying we're devotees, we're practicing the process of purification, we're already in a liberated stage because we're doing bhakti. We're making a lot of assumptions there. This is talking about what is real devotional liberation. What is actual liberation? It's not just theoretically saying, okay, we're devotees doing bhakti, so then we're liberated. Actual liberation is when one gets completely free from all these material misconceptions of life. So if we're not free from the body, bodily conception, bodily attachment, bodily relations, bodily desires and thoughts, if we're not free from all of that, we're not actually liberated. That liberation comes after anatta nivritti. When one becomes nishta, means one is fixed on transcendental constitutional position as eternal servant of Krishna. Actual liberation is getting freed from all of this material desires, material attachments, all these misconceptions due to this bodily concept of life, and coming to pure consciousness on the platform of the soul, and then in that pure consciousness, remembering that we're eternal servants of Krishna and engaging in transcendental loving service to the Lord in such a way that Krishna will be attracted to that seva. That is the goal. And if that is our goal, and that is our desire, then Krishna says very quickly, I'll give you intelligence and faith and understanding how to do it. So by reading in like Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami, he's starting off, he's describing what is the actual goal of pure devotional service, and how that pure devotional service, the definition of that pure devotional service is pure unalloyed service to Krishna that pleases Krishna because it has no tinges of gross or subtle material desire, no selfish interest. So that's the goal. So he's setting up what's the goal, first of all, to know God, to love God, to surrender to God. Okay, now here's the process. Here's the means by which we can become qualified to be able to come to that platform. This is what's required by association, by guidance, right? Under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master. He's purifying us, he's giving us faith, he's explaining the subtleties, not just letting everyone assume any damn thing. All of our assumptions are materialistically conceived. We're coming to improper, ineffective theoretical conclusions, and then labeling that as spiritual, and thinking I'm doing pretty good, isn't it? But when you actually start defining words, and you understand it in the right context, it changes the perspective. And that's why unless Krishna and his representative shower that mercy on us, nobody will even know that they're in illusion. They'll think that they're very nicely situated, doing bhakti. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that the mixed bhakti, which is the name of pure bhakti, is the greatest way of pure bhakti. Wow. So you're doing some bhakti. And that's the greatest enemy of pure bhakti? No, when you're doing some bhakti and you're thinking that that's completely already pure bhakti, that's the enemy. Because it's so subtle that your deviation from the real thing, you'll not even recognize it. You'll not even understand it. So unless Krishna and his representative explain this to us, we've never heard this before. And it makes us recalibrate with new definitions of words which are closer to the actual meaning. And that's why we always say that we're just assuming too much without actually understanding the reality, or factually, or actually, or really, really. I remember when Srila Govindra Maharaj was talking about, Prabhupada said, yeah, devotee does like this, and Srila Govindra Maharaj was stopped and said, wait a second, let's define devotee. Which kind of devotee are we talking about here? Are we talking about a mixed devotee who's somehow in a process of purification? Are we talking about that level of devotee? Or are we talking about the devotee whose devotional service controls Krishna? Where Krishna agrees to be his servant. Bhakta Vatsala. Driving the chariot for Arjuna, right? Taking humble position. I'm driving for Arjuna. So if we were devotee, and we're already doing bhakti, then now is Krishna, Prabhupada says, is now Krishna your order supplier? Now you're going to control Krishna by your demands and your expectation? Is your devotee? So what kind of devotee are we talking about? So real devotee means who can do pure unalloyed devotional service. And at least we should desire to become that. Should we just automatically assume we're already that? And we're already doing that? Yes, I love Krishna. Everything is for Krishna. Nothing for myself. Everything belongs to Krishna. Nothing I, me, and mine. And we believe it. Because when we analyze it, I'm pure, I'm simple, I'm sincere, we're blind to our own reality. We cannot see. We're deaf, dumb, and blind. And we don't even know it. Any points, questions on any of this? Yes? Shouldn't we know what the ultimate goal is? Can we be so arrogant that we think we already know all of this, we're already doing all of this? And meanwhile, we're in the bodily concept of life, we're attached to our body, we're attached to our bodily relations, so many material desires, so many material attachment, so many other interests, so much other loving, affection. It's not towards Krishna. Yeah?
Hare Krishna, Srila Gurudev.
Okay.
So, how can we know that one is doing pure devotional service?
What?
It says, how can one know that one is doing pure devotional service?
Yeah, this is exactly proves my point by that question,
Perfect.
right? So when you hear the definition of pure devotional service, and you don't know that that's not you, that's a problem, right? That means we don't know, how pure we are, how sincere we are, because we cannot perceive all of the subtle desires, attachments, all the misconception, misunderstanding. We're ignorant. So that's why it's very difficult for us to measure ourselves, because of false ego, we're overestimating ourselves. Because of false ego, because of pride, because of self-esteem, we're thinking we're greater, we're more than we actually are. And when then somebody tells us, you're not all that, we get offended. You're not really that sincere. You're not really that serious. You're not really so pure. What? Who are you? Are you my guru? Right? So we can't tolerate it because of the false ego. So we don't have a good perception about the reality of ourselves. We have nothing to measure it with. That's also the problem. You can try to see, we're limited in our vision, and then we don't know how to measure ourselves. Where are we? Because this is very subtle. So we can't see, and we don't have the measuring instruments. And we're starting with the pride, false ego, arrogance, conceitedness, overestimating our adhikar, our qualification. We're thinking we're greater than we really are. Everyone likes to feel that they're a good person. I'm a devotee, I'm sincere, I'm surrendered. I remember one devotee told us a couple of years ago, yes, I surrendered 10 years ago. What else you want to talk about? Wow. So this was already done 10 years before? So, he asked like a perfect question. How do I know what is the quality of my consciousness and my surrender and my service? I could not understand it. Now, if we're a little bit conscious and humble and honest, and then you read the description of pure devotional service, and those devotees who are executing pure devotional service, then we should be humbled by that. That's not me. I still have this work to do. I still need to get purified from this and this and that. I'm still not qualified. But if after hearing all of that, standard and perfectional stage of one who is performing devotional service, what is the effect of actual liberation and freedom from material attachment, bodily concept of life, material desire, and still we can't understand that that's not us? So where are we? That question is perfect because it's sincere, but it's sincerely bewildered because we don't have any way to even understand. That's why we were reading the other day that we're not even presently conscious unless you're completely purified and free from the material conceptions of life. You cannot even know the present. We're saying, okay, I can't remember my last life. That's okay, I admit that. And I certainly can't remember, I don't know what is my future life. So I can't say what happened in the past. I can't say what's going to happen in the future. But I'm here now in the present. But if you say, okay, I'm here now in the present and we're totally out of touch with reality, because constitutional platform of pure consciousness and understanding and acting on the platform of the soul, that's present consciousness, present pure consciousness. So if we're not realizing that on the platform of the soul and we're under the illusion of the false ego and the bodily concept of life, then are we presently conscious about the reality of the situation? Real devotional liberation is defined as reinstatement of the living entity in its own real identity. So are we reinstated in our own real identity as a soul on the constitutional position? Actual liberation, real devotional liberation means getting free from all material bodily concepts of life. Not theoretically, but factually, practically, and getting free from all material conceptions of life and in such pure consciousness. Engaging then in transcendental loving service to Krishna. That's in the present. So that means we're not conscious of past, present, or future. That's why Prabhupada says conditioned soul doesn't know what to do and what not to do. They don't know what to think and what not to think. But yet we're saying, no, I'm fine. How is everything fine? If we're identifying with the body and bodily relations, with material conceptions, material desires, and material attachments, and all of that is a show that Krishna is not accepting as devotional service, and then everything is fine, we're well situated in Krishna consciousness. We joined the Hare Krishna movement. We're devotees. We're chanting Hare Krishna. Okay. But we're supposed to come to pure consciousness and understand all of these things factually, actually, really, really in tattva, not theoretically, but actually, factually, scientifically. And without doing that means we're not even really started. Pure devotional service starts at Brahmabhuta, liberated platform. So what is the process that we're doing before that? Because it's related to bhakti. So we're doing some bhakti process, but we have material consciousness, material desires. So it's mixed. It's like Dhruva Maharaj, saying, reciting Vishnu Krishna mantra, but he wants all materialistic desires fulfilled. Okay, so gradually it will purify you, but that's not the goal. The goal is pure unalloyed devotional service. So what is the strength of our desire for that? So it says that these instructions from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is for people who are very serious about mukti, liberation. And not just liberation, right? Devotional liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the real devotional liberation. Means you are reinstated. Not theoretically. Theoretically doesn't mean you're reinstated. Is your reinstatement, is it theoretical? Reinstatement of the living entity in his own real identity. Are we reinstated on the platform of the soul in our real identity? In pure consciousness, pure Krishna consciousness, serving for the pleasure of the Lord? Should we just assume that the gradual process of bhakti is automatically bhakti? We're already devotees? So first we have to come to pure consciousness. And without the mercy of Krishna, and without the mercy of the Guru, Sanjay said, because I got mercy from my Guru, he purified my intelligence, my mind, and my senses. So he freed me from this material bodily conception of life and reinstated me in my eternal constitutional position. And in that position and that consciousness, then I could directly hear Krishna speaking. So it says perfect hearing from perfect source, perfect knowledge, then your knowledge will be perfect. So perfectly hearing. Perfectly hearing means you can hear Krishna. Like Sanjay said, that's perfect hearing. If Krishna is the speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, are we perfectly hearing Krishna? Or are we just listening to our mind, our speculation, our sentimentality, our feelings, our emotions, our misconceptions, our assumptions? What are we hearing? Is it through purified, spiritualized intelligence, mind, and senses, directly hearing Krishna? Or are we having it filtered through contaminated, polluted, more or less, intelligence, mind, and senses? Therefore, it's not a direct reflection. It's not a pure biomedium. So if we don't perfectly hear perfect knowledge from perfect source, then how we can say our knowledge is perfect? That we've understood everything. Does that make sense? So that's why the first most important service is just to do Shravanam, because by the mercy of Krishna through pure biomedium, that katha, if you can hear it attentively and put faith in it, then that katha, that Krishna in the form of Transcendental Sound will purify very quickly intelligence, mind, and senses. If we're material consciousness, and we're talking about Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna is not necessarily manifesting there. That's why we read other night that unless one is in pure consciousness, free from the material bodily conception of life, he cannot say anything about the spiritual world. Means you cannot think of, you cannot understand, you cannot speak about, you have no access to that world. So the best we can do is try to associate with people who are connected to that access, wherever that may be. But that's the dynamic, that's the science of it. And if we understand that and the rarity of that, then we'll understand that only by Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, they give us intelligence and faith to understand where to do that Shravana. Now, when I heard all of this from my spiritual master, I never heard anybody talking like this before. Because I was reading Prabhupada's books, I was distributing books, I was going to the temple, doing sadhana, chanting, I was doing all of the Prabhupada program. But I never heard this explanation. That means whoever I was listening to didn't have access to this information. Otherwise, they would have told. So only by hearing from someone who has access and understands that information and can explain it to you and is empowered to explain it to you, only then by Krishna's mercy will you be able to somehow consider that subject matter. And that should convince you if you can somehow process it. If you can somehow hear it. In some verse after this, there was Krishna. Krishna says that if you can become fully conscious of me and depend on me, then you'll be able to pass over all the obstacles, miseries of conditional life by my mercy. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness of me, but you're acting instead through your false ego, not hearing me, you'll be lost. You'll remain lost. As soon as one agrees and acts in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada said, one will become liberated and freed from all the material perplexities of life. So if you want to know, am I liberated? Am I actually factually liberated? Well, if we're free from all material perplexities of life, and we're free from all the pain and suffering because of that, but Prabhupada says, but no conditioned soul knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. So do we know what's to be done and what's not to be done? Are we groping in the dark? Krishna was talking about getting free from mental speculation. Where is that one? Prabhupada's talking that the forgetfulness of the conditioned soul, the Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad. What's to be done, what's not to be done. But because we cannot hear him, then we are, because of false ego, then we're lost. If we can hear, Krishna says what is good, what is bad, what's to be done, what's not to be done, then one simply has to act and follow in Krishna consciousness those instructions, and then you'll attain perfection in the human form of life. No one can properly ascertain or understand what is his destiny or his future as the Supreme Lord himself can do. Krishna says he knows the past, the present, and the future. We don't know what is our destiny, what is our future. Therefore, the best course of action should be to take direction from the Supreme Lord and his representative, spiritual master, and then act accordingly. So if we're taking instruction from Krishna through the Guru, and we're following those instructions, we get mercy of Guru and Krishna, merciful purification, faith, intelligence, realization, strength, everything will come. But if you foolishly neglect the order of the Supreme Lord, or the order of the spiritual master, who is the representative of God, then we get different results. If one acts unhesitatingly, if we don't have faith, unflinching faith in Guru and Krishna, how can you act unhesitatingly? We're hesitating because we're doubting ourselves, we're doubting Krishna, we're doubting the Guru, so we're hesitating. We cannot move properly. We're fearing. But if you have faith in yourself, faith in your surrender to Krishna, faith in Guru, faith in the instruction of Guru and Krishna, and you're acting under that protection, unhesitatingly, that will keep one safe under all circumstances. That is where the shelter and protection is. Those instructions are non-different from Guru and Krishna, because they came from Krishna through the Guru. Prabhupada says, if you refuse to act under the direction of the Supreme Lord, then you will be forced by your material nature to act according to the modes in which you are situated. Everyone is under a spell of a particular combination of modes of material nature. Are you under a spell of the particular modes of material nature and being forced to act in that way? But anyone who can voluntarily instead engage themselves under the direction of the Supreme Lord, they become glorious, protected, and glorious. Krishna as Paramatma knows past, present, and future. After changing your body, the living being forgets his past deeds. But the super soul, Krishna, Paramatma, he's the knower of past, present, and the future. He's the witness. He remains the witness of all of our activities, of all of our desires, of all of our attachments. The living entity is getting exactly what he deserves. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Are we perfectly well situated in our constitutional position? Not acting independent of the will and desire of the Supreme Lord? The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, it's our duty to surrender to Him. That is the injunction. That is instruction Krishna is giving. So material life makes so much noise, so much distraction, so much speculation. We're completely harassed, disturbed, distracted, confused, bewildered because of this asana. The only thing that cuts through that is absolute presentation. It's the only thing that makes it perfectly clear what is what. Any other mixture that has material conception, material perspective, material motivation, it's polluted, it's relative. So it will just get mixed into that noise. There'll be some little bits of truth, but it's not enough to really understand what is what. It's all mixed up. If something is just true, then you can see that versus everything else. If you're talking about religion and everything has a little bit of truth in it, then it's very difficult to see, well, which part of it is not true. Which part of it has to be discarded. What is the materialistic part of that? That is still some type of illusion. Everybody got everything? And Prabhupada said that only by hearing from Krishna through the spiritual master, Guru Sovereign Shastra, that's the only way to get perfect knowledge and realization. That's the only way to get free from mental speculation. Right now, we're just speculating about everything. We're just listening to our own stupid mind. We think we're smart. We think we have a good mind. We think we're sincere. We're overestimating our qualification. We're underestimating our disqualification. Any other questions or points? Yeah. Do you like this subject matter?
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's just Bhagavad Gita. I know some of you are very, very elevated. This is just simple presentation.
Hare Krishna Shivode, what does sincerity mean from that which I point of view?
What does
what does sincerity means from Tattva Vichar point of view?
From a what point of view?
That's our
real platform of sincerity. What does it mean? Real sincerity.
So are you questioning whether you're sincere or not? But you feel like you're sincere, right? It's another perfect question.
Is this working?
Because we can't see and we don't have the measuring instruments to understand what is what. Because it appears to be real surrender. It appears to be really sincere. It appears to be, and I'm pounding my heart when I say this, that it's out of my love and devotion to God, to Krishna. I feel it in my heart. And it's just constantly coming to me in my mind. So then, now it's a question of, is it or is it not coming from Krishna? So if we don't have perfect knowledge from Krishna, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, and we've not come to more pure consciousness and a more absolute, realistic spiritual understanding, you can't really measure it. And then if you're questioning it, it means it's not the real. If it's real, it's factual, it's actual, that's also definable. It's not a feeling, it's not an emotion, that's action work. Right? Am I sincere? Do I have love? Right? These are all like kind of feelings and emotional types of words. But Prabhupada said, if you have love, then you will act in this way. Love is an action word. It's not a feeling, oh, I love you. Prabhupada said, your love will be shown by how you do, whether you do this or not. Right? So our sincerity will be how much do we accept this, and how much are we agreeing and cooperating and faithfully, unhesitatingly executing it. That will show whether we're sincere or not, whether we have faith or not, whether we have real love and affection or not. Those are action words. Not emotional, not sentimental. It should drive us to action. Prabhupada talks about that if you're hearing it and it doesn't drive you to take action, then it means you didn't hear it. That means you didn't actually accept it. Yes, sounds good. Very nice, yes, very nice. Logical, practical. Perfect. But I'm not changing anything. That means you didn't get convinced. If Krishna really convinces us, then it will drive us to action, to take action. We have to say, this is now unacceptable. What I'm doing is unacceptable. You cannot possibly be satisfied with that. Buddha said, you should be restless. Time is ticking by. We're restless. I'm not advancing. I'm not taking it the way I should take it. Because we're complacent. I'm all right. Everything's all right. So the complacency is in the way. We're falsely complacent There's no urgency. We're not feeling the urgency because we're not presently conscious. What do you mean I'm not conscious? I know what's going on here. Like, can we feel the urgency? Is it driving us to rededicate and recalibrate and rededicate and change our mentality and our mood and our activities? That's the test. Prabhupada said if it doesn't drive you to action, then it means you didn't really accept it. You didn't really hear it. You think you heard it, but if nothing changes, did we really hear it? Did we really accept it? That's the question. Does that help? Yeah.
जैसे अभी इस्कॉन में बहुत बोनाफाइड मास्टर है हरे कृष्ण महाराज जी, मेरा सवाल है कि अभी इस्कॉन हरे कृष्ण महाराज जी, अभी इस्कॉन में इतने बोनाफाइड स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर हैं जो प्रभुपाद जी के शिष्य हैं और कि प्रभुपाद जी को फॉलो कर रहे हैं और दीक्षा दे रहे हैं। हम कैसे पहचानेंगे कि ये प्रमाणिक है कि अप्रमाणिक है, क्योंकि सब तो प्रभुपाद जी से चली आ रही परंपरा है।
I don't speak Hindi.
Prabhu is asking that in ISKCON there are so many bona fide spiritual masters who are like the parampara is coming down from Srila Prabhupada. Then how do we identify who is bona fide and who is not bona fide?
Who understands the subject matter? Who can explain it to you and give you faith and proper understanding, which will drive you to take action steps? Who can have that kind of an effect on you that you accept those presentation, that explanation, and it moves you to surrender, to recalibrate, rededicate, take more seriously the instructions. So who can do that and who knows the subject matter perfectly well with faith, unflinching faith and realization, and can get you to understand that in that same way, that's a bona fide guru. So who can do that? Who can affect you like that and give you undeniable experience, faith, realization, and drive you, inspire you to want to take it more seriously? That's a guru. So whoever can do that and demonstrate that consistently with faith and realization, and they're empowered by Shri Guru Gauranga Mahaprabhu Parampara, then surrender them. Whoever can do that work, whoever can convince your soul, whoever intelligence, faith Krishna gives you, who you should surrender to, who you should listen to, then just follow Krishna. Follow Krishna instructions. Krishna will guide you. All right? Here we don't do bridge preaching. We don't worship demigods. We don't do pranayam, hatha yoga. We're not interested in psychology. We have a different emphasis here. So everybody is presenting something in their own way. Whoever's attracted to that, that's what they're going to get. It's all going on. So now you have to decide, what do you want? What presentation moves your soul, influences your soul? That's where you should surrender. All right? This is philosophical, this is scientific. This is not a personality, cult worship. So you analyze everything and understand everything in a very scientific way, according to Guru Sadhu Shastra. And Krishna will help you to understand it step by step. Make sense? Anybody else? Yeah? Okay. Prabhupada was saying, I just want to read one thing from the in this section we're reading in Bhagavad Gita, the 18th chapter. Oh, okay. Krishna not letting you talk about that. I tried 3 times and it canceled every time. So, okay. So what else are we talking about? Yeah, that's all.
Hare Krishna Gurudev. My question about Super Soul. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that Krishna can become a spiritual master of a devotee who is serious to get mercy, O Lord. And then he sends spiritual master to train the devotee. And when devotee becomes advanced, then Krishna becomes spiritual master within the heart. So my question is, what is this training process exactly?
Krishna is Adi Guru. So Krishna is always the Guru. Now it's just a question of how can we hear from him? So Adi Guru Krishna, all knowledge, all intelligence, all faith, ultimately that comes from Krishna. Now it's just how he'll deliver that to you. Guru, what is it? Shastra, Atma Rupa. Right? So that Guru, Adi Guru Krishna, he becomes Chetu Guru. He becomes Super Soul, Paramatma. I keep trying to go to this verse exactly on this point. And it just keeps canceling, right? So now it's like, am I supposed to just remember what I read? I was trying to quote the authority because Krishna is saying, if you just surrender to me as Super Soul, knowing me and the Super Soul to be the same, then not only will you get intelligence and faith, but you get supreme peace and spiritual shelter and protection. So if you desire materialism, and Krishna knows this is your desire, he'll give you intelligence and faith how to pursue your materialistic desire. If you want to surrender to God and know God, and you want to learn how to render loving devotional service, then Krishna says, I'll give you intelligence and faith how to do that. Then he makes an arrangement to meet bona fide guru. If you're sincere and serious to want to surrender to Krishna, Krishna will make an arrangement. Prabhupada says, and he'll give you a very nice guru. And Super Soul will dictate to you that you should accept this person as your spiritual master. Krishna will convince your soul. If you're in nice consciousness, depending on Krishna, Krishna will help in that way. Prabhupada said, if you're cheating, if you're a cheater, then you get a cheating guru. So most people are cheating. Right? Kaitava means karma, jnana, yoga. There's all kinds of cheating. May be pious, might look spiritual, but what is the ultimate desire? Krishna knows. So if we're doing all of these things for some selfish purpose, gross or subtle material sense gratification, we're not so serious, then Prabhupada said Krishna will give you cheating guru. And because most people are not serious, there has to be more cheating gurus. There's an overflow of cheaters. So there's an overflow of cheating gurus. But this Prabhupada, tell it, don't blame me. If you're cheating, you get a cheating guru. If you really want to surrender, Krishna will give you a real guru. He'll send you a very nice guru. So that original intelligence and faith comes from Adi Guru, Chetu Guru, that's Krishna, and he directs you to bona fide spiritual master, his representative, who's bona fide authorized by Krishna Parampara. When they ask Prabhupada, after you, who will be the next spiritual master? Who will be the next leader in ISKCON? And Prabhupada answered, Krishna will say. So Krishna will determine who he wants to speak through. That's up to Krishna. You can't just say, well, I'm going to be a pure via medium of Krishna today. You need Krishna's permission. If you're like, okay, I'm ready, I have my uniform on, I have my danda, I'm sannyasi, I'm guru, I know Shastra, I'm going to be pure via medium of Krishna, I can quote so many shlokas, right? That's all nice, but only one thing is Krishna going to show up. And so Prabhupada says, bona fide spiritual master is pure via medium of Krishna. Now, how are you going to know who is a pure via medium of Krishna? That's actually the question. If there's cheating gurus and real gurus, and I don't even know if I'm cheating or not, that's problematic. If you say that you're convinced that you don't want to cheat and you want to sincerely surrender to Krishna, then, and Prabhupada says, Krishna will dictate to you and send you a nice spiritual master. And then how do you know that person is your spiritual master? If you're a conditioned soul, you have no experience, you have no real qualification, How do you know who's pure via medium of Krishna? Everybody's saying Krishna, 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 Krishna. People quoting Shastra, telling Leelas, telling pastimes, telling philosophy. I don't know who's pure via medium of Krishna. I asked Srila Govinda Swami, how does conditioned soul know who's speaking theoretically and who is factually, practically realized? Because it seems the same. They're all saying Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So how does conditioned soul, how does he know who's realized and who is just speaking like theoretically? And Gurudev said it cannot work theoretically. It won't work theoretically because Krishna will not show. So you judge by the results or the effect, and Krishna will give you intelligence and faith. You'll see by the undeniable effect or results that all questions are answered according to Guru Sarvan Shastra, consciousness purified, developing faith, more determined to surrender and serve Krishna. All of these effects and benefits we should be able to realize. Make sense? Yeah. That's Chaitanya Guru, Krishna, coming through pure via medium, spiritual master. Srila Govinda Maharaj used to say, Krishna knows who is his own man. We don't know who is Krishna's own man. Anyone who dressed like devotee, are they Krishna's own man? I don't know. But if you depend on Krishna and you ask Krishna, please give me intelligence and faith to understand who is your own, really your own man, then Krishna will give you intelligence and faith. Prabhupada says the first installment of Krishna's mercy when he sees you're sincere and serious to surrender to Krishna is he sends you a bona fide spiritual master. And he'll give you intelligence and faith, and Super Soul will dictate to you that I sent this person to help you, and you should accept this person as your spiritual master. Krishna will tell you. That's how I understood who was my spiritual master. I prayed to Prabhupada and I prayed to Krishna. They convinced me. Otherwise, how will you know? So if somebody is not bona fide authorized, and they only have a theoretical, academic, institutional, apparent understanding, presentation, Krishna will not manifest there. So the mantra will have no potency. The Harikatha, Krishna Katha will have no power, no potency, no effect, no benefit. Externally looks all right. It says like a shooting a gun with the blank bullets. You know, like what is it called?
Fire.
Like a blank fire. You ever see this type of gun? Right, like boom, makes big noise, smoke, fire, big noise, everything, big movement, but no bullet. So Krishna is like the bullet. So bona fide guru, empowered representative, he can make Krishna appear. Krishna agrees to appear in his words, in his presentation. And then how do you know if Krishna appeared? Is because you see by the effects. the undeniable effects of that hearing process that will convince you. It must be consistent with Guru Sadhana Shastra. It must be realized knowledge, unflinching faith. It must be full realization, Vijnanam, Tattva Vijnanam, not theoretical, not academic. They must be well versed in all of the subject matter. When someone's well versed, they can naturally, automatically speak about all of these things because they understand the subject matter very well with faith and realization. And they can explain it in simple words, in simple terms, which is consistent with Guru Sadhana Shastra. That's a proof. Make sense? So we have to hear Krishna through such Guru. Krishna says, if you want to know me in Tattva, Tadvidi Panipatena Pariprasnena Sevaya, Upitekshantite Jnanam Jnananas Tattva, you have to surrender to my representative, bona fide spiritual master. We just talked about how do we know who's bona fide authorized spiritual master. If you have intelligence and faith and you're sincere and serious, Krishna will show you, then you fully surrender there. Then humble mood, do that Shravanam, hear from spiritual master, try to hear, purify consciousness, understand process of purification, process of devotional service. And then if some question comes, some doubt comes, then go to the spiritual master, Tattva-darshina, one who knows these tattva. Then he'll explain it to you. He'll help you to understand it. When I came to Srila Govinda Swami, I was already devotee for some years, and I was reading Prabhupada's books every day, 2-3 hours a day. So I thought I was pretty, I'm not a scholar, but I was very serious about studying and reading and learning. So I thought I had a pretty good understanding of a lot of this. But when I heard from Srila Govinda Swami, and I understood, something about what he knows, then I realized, I have a lot of misconception. When he started to explain, I said, I thought it was like this. I don't know it's like that. So I was like, I thought I had a pretty good grasp of that subject matter. And then I saw when I did have something right, it was very shallow. Shallow? Like it was like not so deep. So a lot of what I was thinking was wrong, misunderstood, miscalculated, and what I got right, I couldn't go very deep in the subject matter. I was very limited. So he clarified it, reconciled everything, made it crystal clear according to Guru Sadhana Shastra, and then went very deep by explaining it in so many different ways and so many different facets, because it's unlimitedly wide and it's unlimitedly deep. Just on your own, you can only go to surface level, and it's very limited because of three-dimensional material intelligence and senses. So you're limited just by reading. You have to hear from someone who understands it. And then once I came to understand so much more after hearing from my spiritual master, I also had to realize that everyone that I met, all the senior devotees, all other gurus, everybody, anybody, in the ISKCON, in Gaudiya Math, anywhere. None of them could explain the same thing to me. When I first heard it, I thought like, oh, this sounds like a deviation. Because I never heard this before. And that's why Gurudev backing everything up with Prasad and Shastra to prove that he's not speculating, he's not concocting, he's not manufacturing, he's not twisting, it's not deviation. It's actually, he's establishing absolute truth. But then my question was, why no one else is speaking like that? Then I could see the difference. Then I understood the difference. Before that, I couldn't see the difference. Is everybody more or less saying same thing? You follow my point? Any other? Yeah? Is your mother still here? She left? You see, when my spiritual master was here, he was trying to teach everybody this. But they don't want to listen. I remember one time I was with Guru Govinda Maharaj in the airport, and he was talking to one Indian gentleman, and they were speaking in Hindi. So I couldn't understand what are they talking about. I was just sitting chanting. And then I heard my Guru Maharaj, he said in English, you see, they don't want to accept this information from me because they're prejudiced, because of my skin, because of my skin color, they're prejudiced. So because they're prejudiced, this bodily concept of life, they cannot accept this information from me. And he would lament things, because he wanted to help everybody. He wanted everybody to get this information. And he understood this is Prabhupada wants me to help everybody to get this information. Then they won't leave ISKCON. If you get all this information, you don't have to leave ISKCON. If nobody's speaking this, then people say, oh, you have to go outside of ISKCON to get some higher information. So Guru Govinda Maharaj wanted to show, one of his missions was to show that everything is in Prabhupada's books and teachings. You don't have to go outside of ISKCON to get everything. But because some are prejudiced, because of skin color, then they're not listening, then what to do? They're not accepted from me. And then Krishna ultimately took him. And then when Krishna took him, brought him to another location, then all of a sudden so many gurus saying, oh, Guru Govinda Swami is my Shiksha Guru. I have a picture of him on the altar. I'm reading his books, I'm listening to the lecture, right? Now all of a sudden Shiksha Guru. But when he's present, you're prejudiced, you're not listening, you're not humble, you're thinking you're more advanced, you're criticizing, you're finding fault, you're trying to excommunicate. Now all of a sudden he's your Shiksha Guru because he left. Now it's no threat to you. It was a very unpalatable situation. So now, Srila Govinda Maharaj, he gave something to me. Now I guess I have the right skin color. Maybe they'll now, and also we have a little more fighting spirit. Maharaj was humble, sadhu. I'm more like Kshatriya. Maharaj said, he said the Kshatriyas, they like to fight. They have like a fighting spirit. They like to fight. And Maharaj turned to me and said, Murali, you're a Kshatriya because you like to fight. Now go fight. So when you establish absolute truth, it's like a fight, isn't it? Because so much opposition will come against you. Everybody will oppose you. Even they hate each other. Still, he's our common enemy. So what are we saying that makes people who hate each other to come together against what are we presenting? Why are they so threatened by this information? What am I saying that's not Guru Sadhu Shastra? 100% Prabhupada's books, teachings, instructions. Why they don't accept it? Why they're not preaching it? Because they don't know about it. Unfortunately. And then instead of understanding the actual process, they're just acting like they're Raganuga Bhaktas. It's just easier to be Prakrita Sahaja. Is that what it's called? Right? You just jump all the way to Baba, Prema. Skip all of this hard path. It's cheating. And because we have fighting spirit, then we say this is cheating Maharaj. Why you're cheating these people? So this is not politically correct. Srila Govinda Swami, he was not politically and institutionally correct. But he was correct, speaking the truth, according to Guru Sadhu Shastra. And that's why they don't like him. That's why they were prejudiced against him. They're threatened by him. Because he's different level. This is Nitya Siddha. This is not hippie smoking marijuana and taking LSD and heroin and narcotics. This is a whole another level of personality. Just like Prabhupada descended. Radha Priya Sakhi. Srila Govinda Maharaj, this category, born in Vaishnava family, born in lineage from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu family, from Prague. But they're envious. Just like Prabhupada's godbrothers, they didn't accept Prabhupada. He's a Grihasta, is Swamiji. They don't recognize Srila Prabhupada as Parampara, disciplic succession, from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They don't recognize him. Instead, they're saying, we are the Guru. We are Parampara, disciplic succession. Right? But Prabhupada, he only put one name after Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One name. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. That's Parampara. That's Mahaprabhu's Parampara. No other name is there. This is very controversial because they want to be guru. But one must be authorized, ordered, and instructed by previous acharya, not by committee, not by voting, not by non-objection certificates. This is not process. And then you ask the Maharaj question, they said, oh, yeah, Shastric Advisory Committee, they're studying that subject matter now. Once they study it and they take a vote, and then we figure out what is our philosophy, then we'll give you that answer. That's not guru. Now you see why everybody loves me? Now you see why they put nice red carpet whenever I come? But we're doing a great service for Srila Prabhupada and Srila Govinda Swami. It's just they're a little slow. It will take time for them to figure it out. It may take generational time for them to figure it out. Any other thing? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Swami.
That's a cool black shirt, man. You just need some sunglasses, you know? It's the only thing missing. Some tattoos also. Maybe a motorcycle. He can be like this guy. He thinks he's easy rider. Easy rider.
So Gurudev, how can I develop attachment towards you so I can seek out?
I'm running away from you, man. He's trying to get attached to me. I'm like, where is this guy, man? I'm trying to hide. How can I develop attachment? I'm not cooperating. It takes like a mutual cooperation, right? It says that, you know, that you should take some time before you accept someone as the guru. You should be convinced, you know, maybe take 1 year. Just make sure you're 100% convinced, you know. But the spiritual master, he's also testing. Do I really want to accept this person as my disciple? Right? Is this person serious? Will this person be faithful, obedient? So I'm not this guru just trying to collect followers and disciples. There's plenty of people who are doing that. I'm not interested in that. We want class, not mass. Those who are more serious. That's why we're not afraid to speak a serious presentation, because only serious people will like this presentation. We want it. We make it even more absolute, more serious, more narrow as possible. Because it's such a filtering system that everybody will just start dropping off. All the karmis, jnanis, yogis, mixed bhaktis, prakrita sahajas, institutionalists. sentimentalists, they'll all start dropping off. So I don't go for bridge preaching. Go join the devotee care department. Go learn about the worshiping demigods, and maybe you need a psychologist. This guy needs a psychologist. I'll recommend you to an ISKCON psychologist. That's all going on, isn't it? Maybe we can get you a female guru. He has a black shirt on. He's a cool dude. He just needs a lady guru. Then everything will be fantastic. Did that answer your question? We're not desperate. Oh, can someone be my disciple? Will somebody like me? I'm not doing this for that. I didn't ask for this service. This was put on my head. So I'm trying to surrender to it, because it's a thankless task. Because most people are not serious. Somebody wrote me a letter, they say, Maharaj, how can I have faith in you? I'm like, why do you first figure out whether you want to be surrendered to Krishna? I'm struggling to have faith in you. I said, look, I'm struggling having faith in you. How serious are you? Don't worry about me. My guru will take care of me. Don't worry. One way or the other. Any other points, questions? Yes. Who's that gentleman back there wearing orange?
После этого я вас не видел, сегодня первый раз я вас вижу, очень рад вас видеть. Спасибо за лекцию.
So I'm Jayapataka Swami disciple, and I was present when you were getting sannyas from Jayapataka Swami, and after that I never saw you, and now I'm very happy to see you, and thank you for the nice class, and he has one question.
Yes, Maharaj was very merciful to me. He gave me sannyas. No one else wanted to look at my face, but Maharaj accepted me, And he said, I know you're a disciple of Srila Govinda Swami. And Maharaj wanted you to be sannyasi, wanted you to make your own man, so I must help you. So he took a big risk and accepted me and gave me sannyas. You had a question?
Я живу возле храма, где Джаганнат. И я захожу туда, рядом, недалеко, и такой вопрос возник. Какая разница проповедью между ИСККОН и Джаганнат Мандир проповеди? Вот вопрос такой.
So I am staying where Seva Ashram, our temple.
You're staying with us?
He's staying close.
Oh.
And sometimes I'm coming to visit, and I have a question. What is the difference
between preaching in ISKCON and preaching in this temple? Like, what is the difference?
What is the difference?
What's the difference between the preaching in ISKCON and the preaching in the Seva ashram?
Do you hear my preaching is consistent with the Prabhupada's books, teachings, and instructions?
Undoubtedly, yes.
So are the people who are with me, who I'm helping, are they also presenting Prabhupada's books and teachings, instructions properly?
So sometimes I'm coming for the classes, and yes, they're presenting Srila Prabhupada's books properly, but sometimes they saying that in ISKCON is something wrong. Something wrong is going on in ISKCON.
There's something wrong everywhere. If we don't accept this instructions, Guru Sadhu and Shastra, according to Prabhupada's teachings and instructions, then there's something wrong. If we're presenting this and people in ISKCON are saying this is a deviation, well, that's not correct. So if someone in ISKCON is saying like that, that's wrong. There are people in ISKCON who criticize your spiritual master. That's wrong. There's people in ISKCON who banned your spiritual master from traveling in Russia and traveling in Soviet Union time. That's wrong. Jai Pataka Maharaj, one time he said to me, he said, you see, Murali, I was banned from preaching in Russia. And Srila Govinda Swami, he was also banned from preaching in Russia. And Murali, you're also banned from preaching in Russia. He said, welcome to the club. So if the devotees are trying to be helpful, why should they ban? Why should they ban us? Why should they blame us? Why should they say that we're speaking something that's deviant? The only thing that's deviant is it's an unpalatable truth that some of them don't want to accept. It threatens them. So that's a problem. But we are part of ISKCON. Just like you have a family, you have love and affection for your family, but certain people in your family may not be behaving properly. But your criticizing or finding fault is because you want to try to help them. You want to try to rectify that situation. You're not doing it to destroy the family. You're doing it to try to hopefully modify the situation, because there is a lot of inconsistencies and there's a lot of misconceptions, and there's a lot of things that devotees are doing in ISKCON where they're disobeying Srila Prabhupada's direct orders and instructions. So if people, especially leaders, are disregarding, disobeying orders and instructions of Srila Prabhupada, that's a problem. When they're more interested in zones and temples and making money and men and using power politics to do that, that's a problem. That's a direct deviation from Prabhupada's desire and instructions. So what we're finding fault with, there is a fault. And we're not finding the fault to destroy ISKCON. We're trying to show the fault so that we can protect ISKCON. That's the difference. Does that help you?
Yes, it helps. Yes, it helps. And one more question. Are you associating with Jayapataka Maharaj now?
Whenever I come to Mayapur, I usually always go and see Maharaj. And Maharaj always is very affectionate. And I take prasadam with Maharaj. And he always is very like a spiritual uncle to me. And also Sannyas Guru. So I'll never forget that. I'm always appreciative of that. But I'm also not easy to handle. So people are like a little bit nice from a distance. Because they can't exactly like control me. I'm a little like wild one, you know?
Ambarish Maharaj, I heard that he went to USA and reading ventilation.
He's asking about
Ambarish Maharaj was
Ambarish Maharaj. He heard that he is sick now. He went to United States.
Which Maharaj?
Ambarish Maharaj.
Ambarish Prabhu, I think.
Ambarish Ford?
Yeah,
Yes.
Ford.
I didn't hear anything about him.
He did not hear anything about him like long time
After that news,
after that news.
about a month back, I heard.
I don't know about his health situation. But he's not really guru. He's not the Maharaj. He's married Grihastha. Prabhu. He's helping to finance the temple, the building of the temple.
Actual contribution has come from him.
He's saying yes, he has contributed a lot for this temple.
Yeah. His great grandfather, Ford, right? He financed the Nazis and the communists to fight against each other in World War II. So he was financing the communists on one side, and he was financing the Nazis on the other side. So he was equal to everybody. Wherever he could make money, he was very equal. But his relative is maybe somehow purifying and giving some of that money from the family to Krishna, Jagannath, build the temple. Maybe that will purify his forefathers from all of their crimes. and having millions of people killed because of greed. Maybe that's some way. I don't want to diminish what he's doing, especially compared to what his forefathers did.
He got introduced to him in 2011.
Who did?
He met him.
Yeah. He's Prabhupada's disciple, and he's trying to use his money in the service of Srila Prabhupada and building ISKCON temples. I'm sure Prabhupada will shower a lot of mercy, blessing on him for trying his best to help in that way. Any other thing? Any last thing? Am I a little controversial? Truth is truth. If you ask me an honest question, I'm going to give you an honest answer. It's not going to be politically correct. It's not going to be institutionally correct. I didn't come here for politics. I didn't come here to join an institution. I didn't come here to be controlled by an institution. I'm not running after power and position and followers and money. I'm not playing this game that many of them are playing. It has nothing to do with pure bhakti. Pure devotional service. This is all against pure devotional service. All right, everyone. Thank you for your kind time. Appreciation. Thank you. Srila Gaur Govinda Swami, Srila Gurudeva Ki, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Shri Guru Granga Ki, Samaveda Bhaktivedanta Ki, Gaur Karnananda, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Let me see. Oh. We have cookies. Oh. This is for all of the spiritual children. I'm going to stand though. All right? Am I in trouble? You know, many people in ISKCON, they're fighting with each other. They're disagreeing. We're also disagreeing with some things. So what's the difference? Thank you for my prashadam today. It's easier, I'm standing up. Stop for him. He's hungry. That'll put him to sleep. Hare Krishna. How are you? All right? Did you like the class? Was it helpful? Great. Thank you for listening. Don't worry, Krishna will protect you. I've been speaking like this for 30 years. No problem. My brother, I want to go to Georgia sometime. No,
With great pleasure.
I went there one time before. 2004, I was preaching there.
My friend is temple president. I have
Perfect.
his number.
When are we going?
Anytime.
How long are you staying here?
I can stay in my till December.
Till December? We'll make the plan. Georgia needs some mercy. Nobody wants to go there and help too much. We gotta go and help them. There's some nice people over there. That's our plan. We're gonna make a plan. And Gurmaraj will be very happy. So don't tell anybody though. Everyone didn't get a cookie?
I think it's going to get more.
You want to get more cookies?
I think so.
Come closer so I can hear. Translator?
I was helping out. I have your big one. Huh?
Good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
Our discussion tomorrow.
Jai